at the end, another bidder jumps in and starts bidding away. We won the property. And I said to the agent, I go, were they included in the mix? He goes, no, they had looked at the property, showed no interest, said they were out, and then they show up, and then right at the end, they're bidding like crazy. The emotion comes in and the brain goes out and the wallet opens and you're thinking, what are you doing?
Hey, welcome to the show, Leading and Growing Your Real Estate Business. This is Coach James Short, aka Shorty. And this is a show for those within the real estate industry wanting to lead and grow their real estate business. It's a series of interviews that we conduct for those within the industry. So we're finding out what those leaders are within the industry, what makes them tick, what's their story, what are their strategies, and how to become the leaders and the growers within the industry. But also it's an interview series with those outside of the industry. I'm always a big believer of looking at a whole different part of the pie rather than just focusing on one part of the pie. Because what it does, it allows you to have a different perspective, allows you to get snippets or golden nuggets from those outside of the industry that can look in the industry and go, there's a different perspective. And I encourage you to reach out to the guests. I encourage you to lean into these series to find out how can these pieces of information, experiences, stories help you lead and grow your real estate business. Hi, welcome back to another edition, and we're honored and excited to have our next guest, Wendy Chamberlain. She's a sought-after speaker, international best-selling author, and fully licensed real estate agent who is passionate about all things real estate, inspired by a desire to educate and empower others, and driven by a need to follow her passion. Wendy, through her high-powered six-figure job with its 45 million budgets and gut-wrenching stress, and created a real estate education website, Affluenza.com, showing enthusiastic would-be property owners how to get started in real estate. Wendy has appeared on Fox TV, in Wealth Creator Magazine, Domain, realestate.com.au, on ABC Radio, and co-authored 5 books, including The Path to Success with other luminaries, including Mark Victor Hansen, Wayne Dyer, and Brian Tracy. Oh, legends. Wendy is often described as truly inspiring with the unique ability to decode the geek speak, love it, and industry jargon using simple, plain English. Wendy has bought and sold many properties in her own portfolio over the past 20 years, using various strategies, investment strategies. As a property advocate, she has helped her clients buy and sell dozens more. Wendy's love of all things real estate is your secret weapon when it comes to buying and selling a property, and she will give you the confidence to take your next step on the property ladder. Lovely to have you on this show, Wendy. Thank you.
I'm so excited to be here.
So tell me about that transition of throwing that job away and moving into the real estate space. What was going on there for you?
Wow. I didn't realize at the time, but what it was stress. I got so stressed. I was not following my passion. My passion is real estate. I just love everything real estate. And I was working as a senior IT project manager, managing huge teams, etc. And I was just getting stressed. And this was in 2006. And by November of 2006, I started throwing up every morning at the thought of going to work. Wow. And it would stop on the weekends because I didn't go to work on the weekends. And then it would start again. And this went on for 3 weeks. And then my husband said, you got to go see somebody. So I just went and got a bunch of tests done. They said, there's nothing wrong with you. You just need a lifestyle change. It's wild what stress will do. And I think we just let it pile on without really understanding what it is and what it's doing. So I resigned on the 8th of December, 2006, and everything cleared up in 2 weeks.
Wow.
It was just this whole pivot to go and do what I really like, because I had been investing in real estate for many years, but I hadn't been doing it as my job per se. And then having to show up to do the IT stuff, and it was just, clearly my body went, nah, that's it. And I don't listen to whispers, I need slaps when it comes to the universe telling me what to do. And that's what happened. And then I started educating women how to get started in real estate, never sold anything. And then from there, it's just progressed to now being a buyer's agent.
Fantastic. And so talk me through that journey. So going from that, the helping people buy now to the full-fledged buyer's agency. Tell me about how you've transitioned from that over the years.
Yes. So I used to run events. We used to run events once a month, and we would have people just small events. We used to run on the first Tuesday of the month and have people come along. And then I'd have various people come and speak to the attendees, and they might have been like a mortgage broker or an accountant or someone in the space, just to educate them. And that was more from a buying investment property perspective. But my real passion lies with showing and helping someone how to get into their home. That's why it's such a heart space for me. And I love, it's that look on the face of your client when they've bought we work with lots of first home buyers, but we work with upsizers, downsizers. And it's just that look on their face, and you've helped them. And I say, what we do, and this applies to anyone in real estate, we help people, we change their lives. Because it doesn't matter if you're starting out or at the end of the journey, you are helping someone, and it's hugely emotional.
Yeah.
It's expensive to get it wrong. And we are there to support them to wade through those waters where sometimes some players are fluid with the truth.
Very true, very true. And so what are you noticing now? You mentioned a couple of different types of people that you work for, but is there a certain types that really make your heart sing more than others?
I have a soft spot for the first home buyers because I say they're smart people, they've just never done it before.
Sure.
And so we're talking about highly educated individuals, but if you sent me down to the bay and told me to rig a sailing ship, I couldn't do it because I've never done it before. It's a similar thing. You're just moving into a different wheelhouse, and it can catch unwary players out if you run into someone that may not have your best interests at heart. And that's what I love about working with first home buyers, is like a bit of a babe in the woods when it comes to venturing into those waters, really, aren't they?
Yeah.
So you're there to protect them. And one of my first home buyers called me her property mama. And that's what became the name of my podcast, is because you don't get between me and my client.
Yeah. Yeah. Very protective.
My client. I am very protective of my client. Yes.
Yeah, great. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And so talking about that, then that client journey, what are you noticing about the shift of people from before they become your client and you help them through that journey to then obviously during when you're educating and then guiding through to then after when you've helped them purchase? What are you noticing that transition, and what are those transitions that you do notice?
I think to some degree there's a little bit more confidence for the person. But one of the key things that they constantly say to me is that we remove the stress out of it. And sometimes people don't like dealing with real estate agents. I always say there are some fabulous real estate agents. We deal with fabulous real estate agents. But in any industry, you're going to have one or two that are not necessarily top of the pops. And those are the ones. And all it takes is one person who's looking to buy a house to have that experience. Then, for whatever reason, and I think it's a belief that people have within when it comes to buying a home, that everybody's like that.
Yep.
And they're not. But it's really interesting. It's this game, it's this dance that people play. And look, to be fair, the buyers do it too.
Yep.
Because everybody's keeping their cards really close to their chest. Take auctions, for example. When we're going to auction, I'll be having good conversations with the real estate agent, understanding who's there, who's in the mix. And they'll be saying there's 3 buyers plus yourself. We went to an auction recently and there ended up being 4 bidders. And the agent had said there's 3 people, including yourself. At the end, another bidder jumps in and starts bidding away. We won the property. And I said to the agent, I go, were they included in the mix? He goes, no, they had looked at the property, shown no interest, said they were out, and then they show up, and then right at the end, they're bidding like crazy. So to be fair, everybody's playing their cards pretty close to the chest, and buyers do that all the time as well. And they will say they're not interested, and then go Suki Lala when they weren't, and they miss out. But the agent goes, but you said you weren't interested.
Yes.
So you've got to manage all of these expectations and everything that's going on. But the conversations we have with real estate agents as a buyer's agent are different to a conversation that just Joe or Jane blogs off the street will have.
Tell me more about that.
And I say to my clients, put yourself in the shoes of a real estate agent. They've got a home to sell. There's going to be one buyer. They open the doors and all the people are coming through. There's going to be neighbours, sticky beaks. There's going to be people looking for reno ideas. There's going to be people like first-time buyers that don't have their finance sorted. And it's the agent wading their way through all of that to find the one buyer. Now we show up as a buyer's agent, buyer's advocate, and we're ready to go. Our clients got their finance in place. We know the steps. There's lots of moving parts. We know which way to go. We know how to put clauses in to protect our client. And we are a professional that, in my opinion, is far easier to deal with, because I'm no bullshit at all. You get what you get. And I will ring agents back and say, no, we don't like that property for this reason. Whereas I know buyers ghost them.
Yep.
And then 2 months down the track, when that buyer is still looking, they wonder why the agent doesn't call them back. It's this really funny thing that goes on. So I think they understand, the agents understand that a buyer's agent, we're ready to go. We're serious, we're ready to go. And if we like the property, we're going to do what we need to do to buy the property. I think that's a big difference that we bring to the table.
Definitely. And you can have those conversations, those frank conversations, without the emotional touch, because you're that buffer between the buyer and the agent. So you can just, this is how it is. These are the facts. We in or we out. We're going to make a deal or we're not making a deal.
That's right. Because there's so much game playing that goes on. I don't play games. Yep. It's, yes, we make the deal, we don't make the deal. If they want over our budget, we're not going to buy that house. Same with auctions. We set up, I see, it's really interesting, it's curious. And I can go to auctions and I can pick who's going to bid. And then you can see when they've gone over their limit. And they start squirming. There's a change in the body language. And they still keep bidding. You need to stop. You need to stop. But no, they're still going. And then, oh, it's crazy. You talk about the market, because the market here in Melbourne is really starting to heat up. And we had, when back in 2020 and 2021, where that was all uncertainty with all the COVID stuff going on, it took off here in Melbourne like a banshee. It went. And I saw people bidding at auction. I went to an auction with a client, and it was in the inner east of Melbourne. I had in my pocket, I had 250,000 over the top of the guide price in my pocket. We got rolled. It sold for 500,000 over the top, twice, 2 different properties.
Wow.
And it was going. What's funny is on that first auction, there was 2 men just going 20, 30, 40. There was a contest going on.
Like a table tennis match.
Yeah, that's what it was. And I spoke to that agent about 3 weeks later, because we were still looking, etc. And he goes, oh, funny story. That guy's walked in. They bid like crazy. That's the one went 500,000 over. The agent said he's walked in the door, and the buyer goes, oh, I think I might have overpaid. And the agent goes, maybe, sign here. That's the kind of stuff you see where you don't have the sounding board voice there to say, no, we're going to stop now. That's not what the property is worth. Yep. We'll go and look at something else. And it doesn't matter if you've fallen in love with it. And that's the problem when people fall in love with homes.
Correct.
The emotion comes in and the brain goes out and the wallet opens and you're thinking, what are you doing?
So true. So with over the last couple of years, how have you seen the rise and the impact of buyers agents out there into the market? What have you noticing from an industry level? What are you seeing?
I love this question, because we're seeing a lot of new players come into the space. Not sure what it's like in other states. There's a certain entity out there that is training buyers agents, and they're just coming out like, I call it like a sausage factory, shall I say? And they don't have the experience. I've been doing this nearly 30 years, 30 years next year. They don't have the experience of seeing different markets and being able to, I guess, navigate different scenarios. And I'm starting to hear some pretty ordinary stories about the properties that they're buying or the mistakes that they're making. So let's see what happens in the buyer's advocate industry, because to some degree, people say it's similar to where mortgage broking was 20 years ago, that it's quite a new industry.
Yep.
I think for that reason, we are getting lots of people coming in, but I would say due diligence.
Great.
I would say.
Definitely a good point. And what are you noticing in the Melbourne market at the moment? There's been some good growth and some good shifts in the market?
Yes, it's still a little bit patchy. It depends which part, because Melbourne's quite large. But certainly through the north and the eastern side and Bayside starting to pick up, we are definitely in a seller's market now. So we've gone from having, let's say, 1 or 2 bidders at auctions, sometimes none at the start of the year. Now you'll get competitive auctions where I went to an auction recently with seven.
Wow.
Seven bidders. Yes. What's interesting about that, because my client she liked the house and I said it's worth this. She didn't want to pay that. We went along anyway, and it sold for exactly what I said it was going to sell for. And so that's part of the due diligence that people need to be doing, because there's a whole thing at the moment about underquoting. And yes, it exists, and there's a whole raft of reasons why that happens. And in my opinion, it'll never get stamped out. That's fine. The water has to find a way around the rock. So if the underquoting is the rock, do your due diligence. So how can I show up to an auction where it's been quoted, I think it sold 80,000 over the top of the guide price.
Right.
So how can I pick what it sells for within $2,000 if the guide price is so low? It's about doing your due diligence and knowing a market. So anybody can do that. I do it all the time because that's my skill set. But if you learn what to do, underquoting shouldn't be an issue for you. So we certainly here in Melbourne still have a shortage of stock. And I think that's what always underpins our market. What was interesting is that we veered off for a while from Sydney. We normally follow Sydney's prices. We went off. And here in Melbourne and Victoria, there's a lot of taxes that the government has put on, and that really has affected particularly the rental market, the investor market. That's been a big thing.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Now, Wendy, on the show, we have our 60-second quiz to find out a little bit more about our guests. Are you willing to play?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, cool. Favorite movie?
My favorite movie is Willow.
There you go. Okay.
Oh, you have to look it up.
I will. All right. Willow. All right. Favorite food?
Blue cheese and chocolate.
Love it.
Chocolate, but I love blue cheese.
Okay, cool. Favorite holiday destination?
Amalfi Coast in Italy.
Beautiful. Do you have a most regretful moment?
Not buying more real estate earlier.
Cool. Do you have a most embarrassing moment?
Yes, I used to work in corporate IT. For a mining company, and they had a private jet, and we flew around Australia, fly to their various mines and things. We got off the plane, and I was busting to go to the loo, and I went into the loo, and I walked in the Kalgoorlie airport. I walked into the men's toilet. Oh, whoops.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you have a morning routine to get you going?
I always like to have a warm lemon drink, a hot drink with lemon in it, and I do that every single morning.
Fantastic. What about, do you have an evening routine to quieten you down?
Probably spend too much time surfing on socials. Some of my favorite little ones that I like on Instagram. There's just favorites. I like to watch the bits and pieces, but yeah.
Love it. Fantastic. If you were prime minister for the day, what's one thing that you would change?
I would stop wasting so much of our money.
Good point. Good point. And if you could choose 5 inspirational people to have dinner with, who would they be? They could be dead or alive.
I was thinking about my 5. All right. So Cleopatra, Estee Lauder. Jesus, I thought would be a really good one to have there. I was contemplating the other 2 to have. I was thinking somebody, and this maybe a bit controversial, someone like Napoleon or Genghis Khan.
Yep.
They were clearly driven and what they were. So, yeah, that would be my 5.
Fantastic. And what would be your best piece of advice?
The best piece of advice is to follow your heart. And when it comes to real estate, do not get emotional. Do not get emotional. People walk in and fall in love with a house, and then they'll move heaven and yeah. Don't get emotional when it comes to buying real estate.
Great point. And what's on the horizon for you? What's your plans over the next 12 to 24 months?
So we are on the growth at the moment. So looking to bring on more advocates as part of the team. And main reason for that is it allows me to help more people.
Beautiful.
So you can only do as much as one person, but I've got one other advocate at the moment. So grow that so that we can help more people. That's my target for the business.
Wonderful. And how can the audience follow your journey or get in touch?
So the website is chamberlainadvocates.com.au, or if you're on socials, my favorite is Instagram, Wendy_Chamberlain on Instagram.
Excellent. We'll put that into the show notes. But Wendy, thank you so much for jumping on today. Really appreciate it. And really, it's lovely to chat to find out what's happening in your market in the area and also in the buyer's agency world. So thank you once again.
Wonderful. Great to be on.